This is it, folks. We finally made it to the grand finale of our entire experience of the Boosticles Pass DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch, meaning we've got 1 cup left and 4 tracks to go. So, is it possible we're able to actually get ourselves a greater or perfect experience overall? We shall see what happens. Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice, and I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Mario Kart 8 for the Nintendo Wii U, plus Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Nintendo Switch, while we're still experiencing the Boosticles Pass DLC. So, yesterday, we did somehow manage to check out the Acorn Cup, the first of the 2 cups, for the sake of Wave 6, and all in all, the Acorn Cup is phenomenal, especially considering we did have a great time experiencing buddy forms of not only Rome of Atome, because of the forms of experiencing Italy though, and in addition to that with DK Mountain, as well as Daisy Circuit and Piranha Plant Cove. So today for this video, let's go ahead and select the final character choice for this particular cup for this point, and that will select Pink Gold Peach. No, I'm just only kidding, because she sucks, by the way, because of her stupid existence. So instead, we'll go for Funky Kong, because I think that was a perfect way to able to actually end off the entire experience of the Boosticles Pass DLC. So because of that, yeah, today for this video is about the fact that this is it. This is the grand finale of our not only Mario Kart 8 for the Nintendo Wii U Let's Play, but also with the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Switch Let's Play as well. And because of that, we finally made our way to the 12th and the final cup in terms of the forms of the Boosticles Pass DLC, but it's also the second and the final cup based off from Wave 6. And because of that, we somehow made our way to the Spiny Cup. So because of that though, I think the track selection, as far as I've noticed, is going to be a lot more exhilarating. So because of that though, I'm very hyped about this, especially concerning for the fact that I'm pretty certain that much like the Moon Cup at the end of Wave 3, we might able to come across into a Rainbow Road track. So because of that though, let's dive right into the Spiny Cup, in some cases the final cup of the entire DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Not gonna say though, it is a thrilling experience so far. So anyways, let's get to it with the first track in terms of the forms of the Spiny Cup, and here we go on to Madrid Drive. And because of that, this track is obviously based off of Mario Kart Tour, and in terms of what this particular track was located from, this track is obviously based off for the sake of the forms of the reality world, as in Madrid in Spain, which I definitely have heard about Spain country before, but I've never actually experienced in my life for some reason, mainly because I haven't gone around into it, or perhaps even maybe because at this point in time that country was really hot during the forms of in the summer season during that time, which as a result, yeah, I'm a little bit more skeptical about it at first glance, but at the very least though, it does look pretty nice though at the very least. So, I think fundamentally speaking though, it's about the fact that not only this is going to be the final Mario Kart Tour track to be returned in this game, but it's also about the fact that this is the final city course track. So because of that, and as to be expected for the final time, is about the fact that we're able to go through different sections based off from Madrid Drive 1, 2, and 3. And because of that though, this is going to be the final time we're going to be seeing those arrow lights as the forms of those course elements, just to ensure for the fact that it does tell you where you're supposed to go to. So because of that though, yeah, that's as far as I can say about the forms of this particular track itself, especially concerning for the fact that, well, obviously if you couldn't tell already, is about the fact that today's date of course here is the 22nd of December today, in some cases in 2024 today. So naturally speaking though, for those of you who lived in the UK, happy 7th anniversary of the game's release of Mario Party The Top 100 on the UK version. So because of that though, despite the fact that while looking back on it though, still after 7 years since when it first came out, at least specifically the UK version, it still is a bit odd that on the title screen on the UK version still says copyright 2018, just because it was originally going to be released in 2018 in the UK version, but like we've already established that before, it did push forward until Christmas in 2017, just in case for likely for its Christmas gift during that time. So anyways though, There's also another thing I want to mention, is about the fact that hopefully by that time until tomorrow, that both Sylvester, including Fluttershy, will both going to be going back home into the Mexi Toys department until tomorrow. So because of that though, I'm sure enough we're able to spend our time with Christmas together until specifically, we've only just got about 3 more days to go until Christmas Day in 2024 is just around the corner, so everything else will be a lot more hyped than I was expecting. Oh wow, we're able to actually drive into the actual football stadium, even though despite the fact that we do need to avoid those footballs or soccer balls depending on what region you lived in. But apart from those side things though, Madrid Drive is actually a really good track all in all. It's a great way to end things off for the entire Mario Kart Tour city tracks as far as I'm aware. So yeah, that's pretty much about it basically. So now let's go ahead and move on to the next racetrack. And this is kind of an odd choice kind of thing about it, especially concerning this is classified as the final cup in this entire DLC, but we somehow made our way to Rosalina's Ice World. Seems interesting enough. And this track is obviously based off of Mario Kart 7, and I believe this is actually the final Mario Kart 7 track to be returned for the sake of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe itself. So because of that, I almost assumed they were able to actually pick the forms of their fan favorite track in Mario Kart DS, as you probably already know what I'm talking about. That's what appears to be Airship Fortress, but it's already too late now. So because of that though, kind of unfortunate though. So, relatively speaking though, everything else will be come to expect. So, also I just realized is that they've now able to actually include half-pipes now. So, I suppose that seems pretty cool though, and oh jeez, what the heck am I supposed to be doing here? Especially I've almost lost control of myself right there. But, regardless of such though, as far as certain changes they do have, for this particular track though, compared to the forms of how it does in our Mario Kart 7 version of this track, nothing different personally, apart from the forms of the graphics, that's another thing. And in addition to that, as we've already established that before, we've now stumbled across into a half-pipe, but there's also that little shortcut there. I suppose that it does require a mushroom to able to actually get to this point, so... But either way, so speaking of which though, is about the fact that we've only just got about 10 more days to go until we are almost approaching onto the new year, which appears to be 2025, or 2025 to be more specific. So, in fact, still, our expectations for 2025 were we expected able to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Super Mario Bros. Franchise, so as a result, we still have no idea what they're going to be planning for in the future. So, in some cases though, we'll save that particular topic once we make our way to 2025 in general. So, but either way though, aside from other things, I would like to mention something else at this point. I will say is about the fact that when it comes to the forms of specific track amount, that when it comes to each and every single Mario Kart games do return in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So I suppose no matter what though, it's about the fact that at this point in time, that we've somehow come across into 20 Mario Kart Tour tracks to be returned in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and as a result, they've somehow got, you know, 20 tracks out of 21, because I'm sure enough that Piranha Plant Pipeline is not going to make the cut, like I mentioned about this before, since in yesterday, mainly because it is remarkably too similar to, you know, Piranha Plant Slide or Piranha Plant Pipeway, you know, for those of you who lived in the UK anyway. And as far as I'm aware, we did somehow manage to able to experience a grand total of 6 Mario Kart 64 tracks returned in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, and as far as I'm aware, for Mario Kart Super Circuit does have 8 tracks returned in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. And as far as I'm aware, for Mario Kart Double Dash did somehow have 7 tracks returned, and same applies with Mario Kart DS as well. And as far as I'm aware, in Mario Kart 7, they did have 8 tracks returned in Journey forms within Mario Kart 8 Deluxe itself. So, whoa, look at this. We actually stumbled across into ourselves a massive upgrade. So that particular track that did somehow make its return in this game, which as you can tell, we're now on to the 3rd track in the Spiny Cup, and this one appears to be Bowser Castle 3. And I'm going to say, this looks a lot more detailed compared to the forms of how it does in the original counterparts. Like, for one, everything else is entirely in 3D, so that's how it should be done, Mario Circuit 3, mind you, because despite you a little bit more simplistic, But regardless of such though, I am super happy that this particular version of Bowser Castle 3 did get a massive upgrade, ranging from its amazing visuals, and on top of that, the music is, oh my gosh, it is so rocking. And on top of that though, we've actually stumbled across into ourselves the anti-gravity section, and oh no though, this is a massive improvement over the likes of how it does in the originals, to me anyway. Even especially noticeable concerning for the fact that obviously this track was obviously based off from Super Mario Kart. So even though I was kind of unfortunate about the fact that Super Mario Kart only brings 4 tracks returned into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So as a result, this is actually the final Super Mario Kart track to be returned in this game, but I suppose it really doesn't matter too much anyway, because I seriously love Bowser Castle 3 in this particular variation, as you can tell, especially concerning, again, it's now in 3D, and this is pretty much a sight to behold. So that's what I can really expect at this point in time. And also they've now able to include those bone piranha plants at the very end of that track. So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. So, but either way though, as far as I can probably say about this at this point in time, is about the fact that I'm pretty certain about the fact that recently that both Tails and Knuckles have also fetched some more mince pies recently. Just in case, like I said before, we've only got about 3 more days to go until, you know, Christmas Day is almost approaching during that time. Although, I can totally see why about the fact that Rosalina's Ice World did somehow make the choice here, during the forms of this particular cup anyway, because it was obviously a winter-themed track. So as a result, we actually got some pretty good selections for the sake of the forms of the winter-themed courses around here, for the entire Boosticles Pass DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, even for the entire game itself at this point in time. Although, it's a shame about the fact that Vanilla Lake did not make the cut. Well, I'm sure enough though, I'm not a big fan of Vanilla Lake after all, clearly because it was kind of bland honestly, but it's also pretty ridiculously short as well, so I can totally see why they choose Bowser Castle 3 instead of Vanilla Lake. So anyways, let's move on to the final track in turns the forms of Spiny Cup, and it's also the final track in Wave 6 Priority, and it's also the final track in the entire Boosticles Pass DLC, and my goodness, it is such an amazing way to end things off for this entire DLC, which, ladies and gentlemen, will bring us into Wii Rainbow Road, and this is obviously based off of Mario Kart Wii, and it's the final Mario Kart Wii track to be returned in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and I'm gonna say, this is a perfect way to end things off for this entire DLC, because not only it's pretty insane no matter what though, is about the fact that in Mario Kart Wii selections of tracks, in terms of being returned in, oh jeez, we got on fire! But anyway though, we somehow managed to get carried up by Lakitu, as we expect at some form or another. But either way though, but even then, I should probably explain more about it until later. Although I will say is that this particular version of Rainbow Road is a bit easier side of things, because obviously it does have some guardrails to be found. But regardless of such though, I am super happy to see Wii Rainbow Road to be returned in gorgeous HD in the forms of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for its Boosticles Pass DLC. So because of that though, yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your absolute final thoughts in terms of the forms of not only for Wave 6 of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Boosticles Pass DLC, but what was your entire final thoughts of you know, the entire Boosticles Pass in general for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because let me tell you, it is such a great addition to the forms of the entire Switch port of Mario Kart 8, but I suppose we should probably save that particular topic once we're able to finish this entire cup first, so. But either way, the most insane part about this is that we somehow got 11 Mario Kart Wii tracks returned during the forms of a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe out of 16. So it's pretty insane amount, especially no wonder why that Mario Kart Wii is more considerably their fan favorite, which I suppose that seems to be the case, although we are pretty much missing out on 5 tracks from Mario Kart Wii, which there are Luigi Circuit, Toad's Factory, oh man, I really missed that track, as well as Mario Circuit, Dry Ruins, and of course Bowser's Castle in Mario Kart Wii. But overall, not the end of the world, but hey, at least time will tell. So anyway, yeah, that's as far as I can say about the forms of this entire cup, because as far as I'm aware, oh yeah, let's talk about the forms of the actual, the Mario Kart Tour version of the specific track. Well, I will admit though, I am not a big fan of the Mario Kart Tour version of the specific track of Wii Rainbow Road, mainly because they messed up with my nostalgia. Like, literally, they did mess up with my nostalgia, especially because, concerning for the fact that, obviously because of mobile phones limitations after all, but the most disappointing aspect for me anyway, is that the Wii Rainbow Road and Mario Kart Tour version is all section based, meaning about the fact that you can only go into that entire track with one full lap, each with its 2 sections to go through. But at the very least, thankfully though, in this version in particular, in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe version of Wii Rainbow Road, thankfully it's lap based, so you can able to still enjoy your familiar track experience all in all. So yeah, at the very least, I'm very appreciated it's not section based, unlike N64 Rainbow Road in Mario Kart 8, same applies with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as well, that it's entirely section based, which I can totally see why, because obviously that track was originally ridiculously long, which I can totally see why. So because of that, and for some reason, the actual highlight reel did somehow manage to take place in Rosalina's Ice World for some reason, but I suppose it really doesn't matter, because for my thoughts of the Spiny Cup, it is pretty much awesome, or at least as far as I'm aware. Even though, despite that Rosalina's Ice World is a bit of an odd choice in my book, but regardless of such though, for Wave 6 in general, it is simply amazing. Easily without doubt. I would say it's probably my second favorite wave, as far as I'm aware. Although, still, no matter what though, that Wave 3 is still my favorite though. But regardless of such though, here's our final glorious gold trophy, and that was about it basically. So once you beat all 12 cups for the first time, at least assuming if you do manage to brought the Booster Course Pass DLC either with its separate purchase or by able to actually access the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, as you can tell, we actually stumbled across into ourselves a different staff credits this time around. Like, usually relatively speaking though, it did say Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass staff credits, and I'm gonna say, it is so cool to able to see that different style of the staff credit sequence. All it shows is just basically, it's just the, you know, a different footage has been shown on, basically based off from certain tracks you've already experienced, for the sake of the entire Booster Course Pass DLC. So because of that though, yeah, it's actually really cool and awesome for me anyway, and, yeah, that's as far as I can say in terms of the forms of how the fact that, how you can able to essentially can get. So yeah, let's get to my final thoughts of this entire Booster Course Pass DLC. I will say it's super awesome. Even especially noticeable, it does have some pretty cool track selections to be make it brought back or make its return anyway from other Mario Kart games, and on top of that, the character selection is really awesome to me anyway, apart from one in particular exception, is that I've honestly have no idea why that P-Jet was actually the odd choice. So but regardless of anything else though, also it does manage to able to have themselves the unique staff credits theme music as well, which I think is actually super top notch, all things considered. So because of that, as far as the forms of certain tracks they obviously do contain in this entire DLC, well, I should probably want to bring out of one of my favorite tracks in terms of this entire selection of the Booster Course Pass DLC. I think I do choose about 5 favorite tracks they did somehow contain in this entire DLC, which there are. I would say the best one is easily Yoshi's Island, because obviously with massive fan services, and on top of that, 2 variations of Rainbow Road, one on the 3DS and one on the Wii, and I also do enjoy Squeaky Clean Sprint because of its unique nature, like usually takes place in a bathroom of course, and I would say my final pick is probably DK Mountain, just because I just love going in that particular track again, but this time in gorgeous HD visuals. So but there are some tracks a little bit controversial picks, like for instance with the forms of Tokyo Blur, because I will say that Tokyo Blur is by far the most disappointing track selection to me anyway, especially concerning for the fact that, well, obviously that does manage to take place in Wave 1 selections of cups. And as far as I'm aware, my least favorite track in this entire DLC, at least as far as in terms of the returning retro tracks, and that's what appears to be Toad Circuit from Mario Kart 7, just because, well, I just found this to be pretty much of an unnecessary pick. But usually, relatively speaking, in terms of the forms of one of my favorite waves in this entire DLC, like I said earlier, my favorite wave will have to be by the forms of Wave 3, just because it is super perfect in every way, apart from few graphical oddities. But apart from those aside things though, Wave 3 still is the best. But I will say my least favorite wave, it has to be by the forms of Wave 1, mainly because of the first impressions are a little bit mixed bag, at least as far as I'm aware. So I can possibly understand why, because I know for a fact that a lot of people seem to complain about the visual style is actually a little bit drastically different compared to the forms of how it does it on the base Mario Kart game. Likely, for instance, with the forms of the Wii U version of Mario Kart 8, as well as the entire Mario Kart 8 Deluxe base game, like the graphics are much more superior. But still, regardless of such though, is about the fact that the more you're able to experience those specific tracks on one hand, then obviously you will able to enjoy it a lot. Even especially noticeable every now and then, that you can able to actually experience those tracks over and over and over again for the forms of experiencing online race matches, and on top of that, well, to be more specifically, if you're able to experience this game still, then online is still available, whilst unlike the Wii U version, obviously the Wii U version's online shuts down since in 8 months ago. Like, geez, time flies, especially concerning for the fact that I understand they're trying to move on. So, but even then, and also at the end of this credit sequence, as you can see, we got ourselves a pretty cool image right there, alongside with this thank you message. And let me just say, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, thank you so much. And I will say that in terms of the forms of my entire opinions on this game is actually changed even way higher above. Like, as a result, I still think that this is, without a doubt, is my favorite Mario Kart game I've ever played now, especially concerning for the fact that it's jam-packed full of content, and I will say the character selection is a lot more better than the forms of how it does in the original Wii U version, to me anyway. And in addition to that, it's just how fun this game is, especially concerning for the fact that, gee, no wonder why this game is still doing so well, for the sake of the forms of this is classified for saying this is the best-selling Nintendo Switch game ever, and I will say this is not of the best Mario Kart game I've ever played. Now I will say my second favorite is now Mario Kart Wii, because of the forms of how much content they have for Mario Kart Wii, but I will say that this is easily my number one for able to experience the Mario Kart game like this. So, but anyways, before we end off this entire Let's Play off, let me quickly show you guys some extra things you might able to realize about something. Is that, well, for instance, as soon as we play as Baby Peach, and if we go into the forms of the versus race, as you can tell, like I said before, since in Wave 3, there was actually an introduction to the custom item selection, where basically, if you decide you're able to play this game within multiplayer, likely for local multiplayer or online multiplayer, you can able to actually customize your item selection you want to go for. Like, for example, we can able to turn all of those items off, or you can able to activate one of those blue shells only races, or even bob-ombs, etc. But there's also my favorite method in terms of customized items or custom item selection. You can now get rid of the pointless coin item, which I will say it is pretty satisfying to able to have that feature, whilst unlike the original Wii U version, does not have that feature. So because of that though, yeah, I just want to classify that. So even though it's a shame there's no option for you to able to set up into 96 races, because I'm pretty sure it's mainly because it might take a very long time to able to actually go for all 96 racetracks in that one specific session. So I could possibly understand why they did not include that feature, but oh well, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. So anyways, there's the Mii suits update, where basically it now features the Daisy Mii racing suit, which in order to get that, you have to scan the Daisy amiibo, either the Smash Ultimate variant or the Super Mario one lineup. So, and of course, there's actually the advertisement page of the forms of the Boosticles Pass DLC, where it shows us the entire track selection, in addition with the forms of the entire character roster you can able to get, making a grand total of 8 playable characters you can able to access to if you managed able to buy this entire DLC, not just by the forms of you can either just go for separate purchase or just simply just trying to activate the subscription for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. So, and the last thing we want to show off is the music player, where basically though you can listen to the entire soundtrack of not only for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a base game, but also with the entire DLC tracks, and heck, let's not forget ourselves with the battle stages as well. So, pretty interesting, all things considered. And heck, even especially noticeable, you can also manage to be able to listen to certain music from either loop or shuffle. So, yeah, possibilities were endless, especially concerning for the fact that I will admit though, before you selected this particular mode, I really love the actual artwork if you manage to get into a music player. But then again though, the music player to somehow exist during the forms of Wave 6 has been released during that time. So, with that being said folks, that was basically all there is to it in terms of the forms of the entire content for the sake of the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Calls Pass DLC. Now I'm gonna say, I actually really enjoyed this particular content, and I'm very appreciated able to go back into this game, since after all, that Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U version has already became 10 years old since in about a couple of months ago, and I'm gonna say, it is a pretty cool, satisfying way to go back into this. So, hope you guys do enjoy this particular playthrough of Mario Kart 8 / Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so I'm pretty sure you're able to enjoy it. And this is me, Sonic the Hedgehog from the Mexi Toys, and until then, I will see you guys at some point soon. So take care of yourselves, bye!